Thank you for joining us on this episode of SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, we have over 30 episodes of senior and caregiver resource podcasts that can be listened to and followed most anywhere you enjoy music or podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Alexa. Please do not keep our podcasts all to yourself. Share with a senior or caregiver who you think will benefit from the support and resources that our podcasts provide. I am your host, Darlene Mahoney, and I am super excited to share the news that SeniorLivingGuide.com provides a one-stop shop to finding senior housing solutions, including independent and active seniors, a new home, while providing an excellent resource to assisted living, skilled nursing, memory care, or even home health and caregiving service solutions in one easy-to-navigate website. So visit us at SeniorLivingGuide.com today. I would also like to thank our podcast sponsors, Parish Healthcare and Parish Medical Center. At Parish, they offer the Parish Senior Consultation Center and Parish Senior Solutions, where each patient's evaluation and follow-up care will be personalized to meet the needs of the individuals and their families. So we are joined today. I'm so excited to have Megan Lilly here with us today because she is a Senior Community Relations Director with Cadence Mooresville in Mooresville, North Carolina. And she assists seniors and their families through the process of choosing and moving into an assisted living and memory care community. So she has so much insight that she's going to share with us today. So I'm so excited to dig in. So a little bit about Cadence Senior Living. They provide independent living, assisted living, and memory care services to their seniors in multiple states, including Arizona, California, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, North Carolina, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Washington. So quite a few areas where you can find a Cadence, I can't speak today, Cadence Senior Living. So Megan, as she is on the front lines, that's what I'm super excited about. She is meeting these families. She's hearing their concerns every single day. She's helping them fill their needs and their wants and their desires within the communities as they're looking for their next home, their next stage of life. She's there to provide us and provide them with the tips that they need. And she's going to be here to answer our questions or answer my questions, which will hopefully answer your questions. And so many more. So thank you so much for joining us today, Megan. So let's start off a little bit, because I know that one of the things that we thought we might talk about today is the difference between an assisted living and a skilled nursing.
Good morning, Darlene. I'm so excited to be here. I'm super passionate about senior living. I've been in this position for about 1.5 years now, and I've certainly learned a lot along the way. And my favorite thing that I do is to get to share that experience with families that are reaching out to us. So the biggest differences between assisted living and a skilled nursing facility are going to be the medical services that are provided in a skilled nursing facility. Skilled nursing is what's colloquially referred to as like a nursing home. They're going to be providing 24/7 medical and nursing care. People who have feeding tubes, who need like a lift for mobility, ventilators or respiratory therapy that have really complex ongoing medical needs. A skilled nursing is going to be the perfect place for them. And they're certainly all of the different types of senior housing are going to be the right fit for someone at different points in their life. And then our community, what I'm most comfortable with knowledge in is assisted living. And so assisted living is residential. We assist our residents with their personal care needs like bathing and grooming. We also can help with medication management. And our focus in assisted living is on whole body health. So not just concerning about medical needs, but making sure that our residents are wholly, spiritually, socially just engaged and active and living their absolute best lives. We
Right.
promote a really active social life. We want to preserve independence and offering dignified care where it's necessary. I think a lot of people, when they think of senior living in general, they have this negative connotation where, these are going to be these dark, lonely, clinical places that are scary. So many times when I'm talking to families, and even when I'm talking to our future residents before they're moving in, the thing that I hear most often is, I don't want my family to just be putting me in a home.
Right.
And that breaks my heart.
Yeah. But I think that that's like what it used to be. I don't know if it was even what it used to be, but I think there's a negative condensation, or is that the word I'm using? The correct word I'm using, condensation of the term that's used, and we've heard it so much in the last couple of years, just because it's been on the news so much with COVID, the term nursing home and nursing facility, and they're putting all of that into one bucket, right? And we really like to think of our assisted livings as more communities, right?
Yeah. And when I'm talking to families that are coming in to meet with me, when I'm talking to our future residents, our goal for assisted living is for it to feel like country club living, but that there's someone there 24/7 to make sure all of your needs are met.
Right.
We have monthly poker night, all of these exciting things that should be going on in your assisted living communities where, people have worked so hard their whole lives, and I know, I go home at the end of the day and I'm like, my goodness, I've still got to cook. I've got to clean. I've got to, care for the dogs and all of those other things that we have to do. And we do those our whole entire lives. But eventually we reach a point where I'm going to want to be done with it. And that's the beauty of a senior care community is you don't have to do any of that household work, any of the hard stuff. You can literally just enjoy your days. And that's what it should feel like.
You just said something I love, and I don't know that I've really heard that term before. Senior care community. I like that term. I think we should just change it to that. I vote.
I think it really exemplifies what we do more than anything else,
Right.
because the people that are still working in our senior communities, the people that have made it through the past 3 years that are still here, we're here because we love the people that we are
Right.
working with.
Right.
I get a little emotional about it, and I'm doing it right now. But we're here because we want to help people enjoy their, golden years. There's nothing more beautiful than watching someone who maybe has been living in a really isolated area, has been scared to go out and do anything because of what's been going on the past few years, is scared of getting sick. All of those things come into the community and make new truly lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Meet other people, maybe even start a relationship. We've certainly seen that happen a few times.
I have seen that happen as well, as far as, some of the things that I've seen, like even some of the communities like have posted on social media, and even people that have gotten married once they have gone into a senior care or assisted living community. I think that that is absolutely magical.
And it really is. It's so fun for us
Yeah.
to watch and be a part of.
Yeah.
And just to watch the way people blossom because, they're getting that social interaction that they really weren't getting at home. And I think that's one of the biggest things, that we bring in these senior communities is the community part.
Right. So really trying to look at an assisted living and looking for an assisted living that's really, I don't want to say looking at like moving into a new home or real estate, but it really kind of is. So you really, instead of looking at it as, leaving your lifelong home or whatever, because that's really, I think, one of the hardest parts for seniors and their families is, that, a lot of them have lived in their homes they've raised their children in that home, or they've lived in that home for a very long period of time. And it's a very scary step and move. Is that what you're seeing a lot of times with families?
Very much. And a lot of the time, it's all of those memories, and maybe they've lost a partner, and leaving that house feels like leaving that partner.
Right.
But one of the things that I hope and that I have heard from my residents when they come into the community is so many of those things can make you feel so different from air quotes regular people, from younger people who haven't had these experiences. But when you move into a community, you're with your peers who've probably experienced these similar things. You see other people who are using walkers, who need assistance with, getting in the shower, who are worried that they might fall, who maybe can't quite keep their medications in check. It doesn't feel so different because you're around other people experiencing the same thing. And I think one of the things that makes the human experience feel so lonely is when we feel different. But I'm lucky to say that around here, I think the community kind of helps with that. We help each other, and the residents, become really close and become like family.
Right. And you hit a couple of points that I think are super important as well. One of the reasons why people do move from living singularly into an assisted living is because some of the things that you do provide are the medication managements, which are super important, because I think that it's harder to, as seniors get older, a lot of times they get a lot of medications, and keeping track of that can be very difficult. And if you mess those up, it can really make you feel, I'm just going to use the word, it can make you feel like garbage.
Yeah.
If you're overtaking or not taking enough, or you're taking them at the wrong times. So your quality of life is just yucky. So keeping those in check, you can still feel better and take the right medications, so you're feeling healthy and doing what you're supposed to be doing under those medications. And then for me, and we've talked about this on this podcast a million times, and I cannot stress it enough, is the ability to safely maneuver within your own home. And a lot of times homes they're not built for safety. I mean, getting in and out of a tub, showers. I mean, the bathroom can be such a dangerous place, but not even just that. You may not even realize that, rugs and things like that can be a very unsafe environment. And once a senior falls, and I say this almost on every podcast because I cannot express it enough. Once a senior falls, I mean, it can absolutely change the trajectory of the rest of their life.
Yep. It really can. My Meemaw was living in her home on her own, completely independently, driving, cooking all of her meals, everything, until she was 96 years old. And God bless the woman. She went to the hardware store, to the local downtown hardware store, couldn't go to like a Lowe's because they had this one specific type of light bulb that she needed for some lamp or something in her home. And she had a fall there. And it absolutely changed the future that she would have had. And it can be really difficult.
Yeah. My dad was 72, and the fall he had dementia, and it was, I don't know how advanced it was. I want to say it was early onset. I mean, he had his issues, but he knew who I was, et cetera. But
that's young for dementia.
Yes, but he fell going through a sliding glass door, the lip of the slider. He fell, and after that, I think he passed away like 45 days later. Yeah, that's how quickly.
It's amazing what that kind of trauma can do to the body.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things I see when people come in to tour the community is the look of relief on their face when they see the way the bathrooms are set up. Most senior communities are going to have a 0 entry shower where there's no lip that they need to step over to get into that shower. And just that one little change can absolutely 100% change the way someone lives their life.
Right. That stress and anxiety.
Not that fear.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then even on the financial side, I do remember, when we moved my dad, I said, I'm taking care of the money, Dad. And I saw the relief leave his face, that he wasn't trying to, because I did see going to his house, he's spending a lot of time on finances. Yep. He's spending a lot of time sitting at the kitchen table, trying to figure out cable bills, which he had more than one of.
Yep.
Cell phone bills, which he had more than one of. But, I mean, Oh, that's a different story for a different day, but
absolutely. Well, and I mean, I know we kind of lightly touched on medications too, but part of course, we have to remember to take our medications at the right time, but what we also have to do? We have to remember to fill them at the pharmacy and pick them up.
Right.
And I know, I'm not quite 30 yet, and I'm horrible at remembering to go pick my medications up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden I'm out of my meds and I've been out for 2 days.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's just all of those little things that really add up. I know another big issue that can really improve in community living is nutrition. It's so difficult. We talk about it, I think, throughout our entire lives, how hard it is to cook for just one person or even just two people.
Yeah.
And so many of us, I mean, I know I'm guilty of going home and being like, I think I'll just eat a bag of popcorn and call it dinner. And I mean, that's not ideal
here.
that is not ideal. And so it's those little things where just not having to worry about that, being able to walk in, to a dining room and say, oh, gee, do I want, crab cakes or do I want, baked chicken tonight? It's just those little niceties.
Right. Right. And most assisted livings have restaurant quality food. They have chefs that they have. And then also they provide meals that are maybe more low sodium, things that are healthier, that are better for your health versus if you're eating fast food or if you're eating a lot of high sodium canned, I know my dad, I think, had a lot of soup because it was just easy. And so it wasn't really nutritious. You think it is, or he was eating, I do know that my dad, I don't know if you have the restaurant Kiki's.
No, we don't.
It's a breakfast lunch. It's it's pancakes and things like that. He was eating a lot of eggs and bacon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause he was going every day. So, I mean, then they're going out to eat a lot as well. So, and eating a lot of unhealthy fried food, stuff like that. Yep. So, while they're getting that food, they're, and that was an expensive venture. When I went back and looked at his bank accounts, I'm like, holy cannelloni, Batman.
It's so expensive to eat out anymore. When I look at my own bank account, I'm like, my gosh, where does all my money go? And it's eating out.
Eating out. Yes. Yes. For sure. So there are all those options and then there's also the social activities, which you mentioned in the very beginning, I think give seniors that ability to be able to have, and then the outings that can go with it. Cause I know that there are outings where they can get out and about and see and go and do.
Yeah. And I know one of the most common questions I get when people first, start to talk to me is whether it's, the resident themselves or whether it's their children is, can mom and dad come and go? Are they stuck here? And obviously when there were serious COVID issues, those things changed, but at least the way most communities are functioning at this point, I can speak mostly in our community as we were 100% vaccinated staff and residents. So we're operating pretty relatively normally, but our residents have been able to come and go as they please for over a year now. You can still, if you want to go on vacation with your families, let the community know, we'll pack up your meds and, go to Hawaii, go and do and be. Senior care communities should not be a sad place, a place that feels like the end.
So just out of curiosity, what are some of the top concerns that families come in that you have to kind of, I don't want to say deal with, but that you are, that you kind of deal with, that you kind of have to manage?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest hurdles that I think we have, especially in communities like the one where I work, where we have an assisted living and a memory care neighborhood, is the stigma that goes along with all of that. I know we kind of briefly touched on, the idea of, the mental image of an assisted living community being lonely and dark. And, maybe the only way we've ever experienced senior communities is via media, via, news articles and whatever horror movie probably that you've watched lately. But so there's so much more to it than that. But I think we all come in with these kind of preconceived notions of what things are. And, in a perfect world, especially when looking at a memory care neighborhood, that memory care neighborhood should be almost identical to assisted living. The biggest difference in memory care should be in the programming. A memory care neighborhood is going to be for people who have advanced Alzheimer's and dementia. But just having a dementia diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean that someone is memory care appropriate. There's definitely a lot of gray area in there. There are specific, things that would, if we're seeing wandering, if we're concerned that someone is exit seeking, that's going to be, an obvious need for a memory care, which is going to be a secured unit for our residents' safety. But in most assisted living communities, the statistics are that about 50% of those residents at least have a dementia diagnosis, even on the assisted living side.
Right.
So I think the stigma surrounding senior care in general is probably one of the biggest hurdles that we have. And then there's a whole lot of guilt when it comes to the discussion of senior living. There's children who feel guilty for not being able to do this all on their own. There's parents who feel guilty for putting the burden on their children. And really no one should feel guilty about any of that. What's become kind of my mantra, as I've, learned more and more every day about senior living is, I'm so used to, of course, being this age and having a lot of friends who are, starting their lives, having children. And, we hear all the time, oh my gosh, you're having your first baby. That's going to be so much work and it takes a village. Don't forget that there are all of these people that are here to support you and here to help you through this challenge. But for some reason, we stop saying that to people. Eventually, you've got a couple of kids and, people, they're not offering help anymore. And at some point there's this mental switch of, well, here we are, and now I have to do everything else forever alone. We don't continue that it takes a village mindset into our aging years. And all of a sudden, either we're the aging senior and we feel like we're a burden on our family, or we're the adult child and we feel like we just can't do enough for our parents. Like, if we're working full time and we can't, have our parent move in with us and take care of them 24/7 because we have to go to work, we feel guilty about that. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of wild to me how that mindset shifts. Why aren't we humans, creatures of community? Why aren't we continuing that mindset of it still takes a village?
Right. No, I 100% agree with you. It's something that I think that, I think that we've just gotten so busy that we are losing track of humanity as far as priorities and family and children and our parents and seniors. So it gets really hard. I think that, we need to go back to basics sometimes.
I definitely agree. And I think, I'm someone who struggles with taking on too much. Mm-hmm. And I've certainly had people throughout my life tell me, like, you need to stop and ask for help. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be better about that, but I'm also trying to help the people that reach out to me feel better about that.
Right.
I do my best to verbalize that and say, you need help and that's okay.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Because I will tell you, there are caregiver support, and we talk about that on this podcast a lot as well, because I went through a lot with my dad. I did not know that really existed. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was on the roller coaster from hell, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I felt very alone. But I'm also one of these people that I don't take a lot of help, because I feel like I can do everything myself, mm-hmm. because nobody can do anything better for my family than me.
Exactly.
It's kind of how I feel like, I can do it. I'm good.
Why ask someone else to do it when you could do it better yourself?
And I'm strong.
Yeah.
And I'm strong.
Yep.
I'm strong. Don't ever tell me I'm not strong enough to barrel through it and do it myself. But I realize that the reality is it can absolutely wear you down, and it will affect the quality of care that you are providing. Mm-hmm. And it does affect for me, I think that it made me start rethinking, did I make the right choice? Did I make the right choice? And there was a level of guilt, especially after my father passed away. Did I make the right decisions? Did I make the wrong decisions? And it stuck with me for a long time. I worked through a lot of that, but it's for, it's really hard. You need, I think, that support to help you work through some of those things. If I had known then what I know now, I would have, I don't know that I made the wrong choices, because I still think I made right choices, but I probably would have made them a little bit sooner as far as getting him into an assisted living. I think I held off too long trying to provide him, thought I was doing him a favor or being more respectful of letting him live alone longer than he probably should have. And I'm going to just tell you a story. And I know I've told this before, but I knew we were going to be moving him, but couldn't get him moved as fast as I was trying to. And he was absolutely not having it. He was going to stay. He wasn't moving. He was being very obstinate about it, but I was concerned about his safety. And I got him one of those medical alerts, which he did not want, but he put it on.
Nobody does.
Right. But when I went over there, like 2 days later, he was holding on to it for dear life. And he said, I want to thank you for this. I think something had happened that scared him.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I knew, and he was ready at that point. Something happened that scared him. And that just sunk my heart, because I never wanted my father to be scared like that. I wanted him to always feel safe and secure, especially knowing that he was having some issues with dementia.
Yeah.
Because you just don't understand what's happening there. So I think it's super important.
Yeah. It is. It's so important. And it's one of those things that, we get people, I get calls from people more often than I would like, where, a parent has had a fall, they've had a stroke, they've had something, they were in their home. It was hours, before they were found. And I don't like those calls. They break my heart.
Yeah.
And, planning ahead and having an idea of what your wants and needs and desires are is so key. And of course, things may happen sooner than we would like for them to. But on the flip side of that, the most common thing I hear is, I wish I'd done it sooner.
I wish I had done it sooner.
Yeah.
So you're hearing it from me. And I will say that that is probably my only real regret, for sure, is that. But you did mention something earlier, and I want to highlight that again in case, some of our listeners didn't get it. Even my dad that had dementia, et cetera, he went into assisted. He never went into a memory care side. And I've been into memory care, and that really is for much more significantly advanced dementia and Alzheimer's diagnoses versus, he really enjoyed the assisted living side. Even with the dementia.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I, briefly mentioned earlier, the programming is the biggest difference between both sides of the community. Like, for example, last week, my resident lifestyle director, our residents on the assisted living side of the community made macrame rainbows to hang on their apartment doors. And then in the memory care neighborhood, the residents painted rainbows onto flower pots for when they do gardening, because we're going to be sowing some seeds here in a couple of weeks. But so, the things are geared more towards, residents who've had some cognitive decline, but it should still be active and engaging on both sides of the community. There should still be live music either coming in or going out, like all of these exciting things that you should feel happy and engaged in either side of an assisted living community, whether it's assisted living or memory care. It's a lot of fun. And most of our residents, even those who are, begrudgingly here, who feel that they would be just fine at home, but maybe, their physician disagrees, so they're still here with us. Even those people, they're, complaining one side of their mouth and, dancing
right
later. So
that would probably fall under my dad, but yeah. So I think that, I love that. And I agree with that. I think that that's great. But I do love the fact that, I do think that that is a huge stigma, that people are afraid they're going to go into a memory, or their loved one is going to go into a memory care. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to take a quick break. And then when we
Perfect.
come back, we're going to chat a little bit about, the dialogue that you have with their families, and what their wishes are, and just kind of fulfilling those.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
At Parish Healthcare, we believe every life is poetry in motion, motivated by strength and determination. As your bone, muscle, and joint healthcare partners, we believe in blending the art of healing with the science of medicine to keep your body in motion. We believe in healing patients, healing families, and healing communities. For a free orthopedic health assessment, visit parishhealthcare.com/orthoaware. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life.
Hey, Mom, how's the retirement home search coming?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so stressed out. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, why are you so stressed? What's the matter?
I don't know where to find anything. I just need everything in like one place and know what all the options are.
Does the idea of searching for senior housing seem overwhelming and you just aren't sure where to even begin? SeniorLivingGuide.com has great news for you. We offer a one-stop solution to take the stress out of your senior housing search. At SeniorLivingGuide.com, both our statewide Florida edition book and website are created to make your senior housing search very easy for you to navigate. We provide details on communities, including retirement, assisted living, skilled nursing, memory care, and home health, allowing you to decide which best fits your needs and then connecting you directly with those communities. Visit us online at SeniorLivingGuide.com and start your search today and start de-stressing.
Thank you so much, Megan. So we're going to chat a little bit about like the open dialogue that you have with your families when they come in, and what they should be asking, and what they should be expecting for their loved ones when they're coming into the communities.
Yeah, absolutely. So of course, that's my absolute favorite part of my job, is to get to know our future residents and their families, and get to kind of see what makes them tick and what is most important to them when looking for senior care. First of all, the number one thing that I tell people is every community is going to be the right fit for someone, but someone's not going to be the right fit for every community. So, my community is of course not the only assisted living community in my area, and that's okay. I encourage everyone to tour all of the local communities. Our company has a community 10 miles down the road, and I tell everyone to tour there too, because each community is going to have a different feel. And I think, it's kind of like when you, when you find your perfect little black dress or your new favorite pair of shoes, you put it on, you step in, and you just know it's right. And I think a lot of times it's the same with communities. Simply because, you're hopefully the hope is that you're going to get really great care at any community that you look at. But it's the little things. It's, if you really enjoy painting, do they offer art class every day? If all of those sort of things that make it special to you. And, on the flip side of that, a lot of times, I know I kind of touched on it earlier, where I'm getting a phone call from an adult child, and their parent, is in the hospital or is in skilled nursing for rehab. They've had a fall, they've had a stroke, a multitude of other things that could sometimes even dehydration. Hydration is so important as we age. It keeps us from getting UTIs. It keeps us healthy. And so, whether mom or dad or aunt or uncle, loved one has had one of these events, and there weren't any plans in place because they've been, living at home perfectly fine on their own, but now they have a broken arm. And that makes a lot of things really hard.
Yeah.
You can't so much as brush your teeth if your dominant arm is broken, depending there. And so those are the calls that that break my heart the most, but also gives me the opportunity to really help guide this family from start to finish. And, a lot of times when people are first reaching out and they're in this kind of situation, they haven't done any research and they have no idea how any of it works.
Yeah.
Whether it's, how long does the process take? What are the financial implications? All of these different things, how do I choose a good community? There are just so many pieces that need to fit together. And it's not things that anybody really wants to think about on the good days,
Right.
but it's so important to have that open two-way conversation with your family. So my goal has been to help people make a plan from the start so that you don't end up in one of these emergency situations and, you're trying to have to juggle, current care in the current location, as well as figuring out what the heck the next step is in a really short period of time.
Yeah.
Starting this process early is really key. I think there's so many, pieces to that puzzle. I always tell people, tour communities, tour them more than once.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And I think in all honesty, if your mom, dad, or senior that you're caregiving for, or what you're concerned with, touring them before they have that fall, like it's just as an idea of saying, hey, this is it, pick something out now, or look at a community, years beforehand, just to kind of get an idea on what you might like.
Absolutely. That way it's not, part of the guilt that we mentioned earlier is, as the adult child, is, am I making the right decision for my parent? What do I do here? And I get that question asked all the time. But if we, start early and our loved one can be involved in having an idea of, right now I'm independent, but, if in the future I'm not, I want to have that autonomy to make the choice on, what community feels like home to me.
Right.
And I think that can help on both sides, so that the family doesn't feel like they have all of this pressure on them, and that the individual, feels like doesn't feel like the thing that I hear, which is, don't just put me somewhere.
Put me somewhere. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I personally think, and this is just coming from my experience, to look and maybe do like a top 3 picks, because people, for me, when I was choosing something for my dad, it was a lot about the people that were working in the community than the community itself. And clearly that changes over time and years, so I think what community fits you as far as amenities, feel when you walk in. Cause even when you're looking for a house, even you and I, when we're looking for, there's houses that make you feel at home, and then there's houses that don't. And that has nothing to do with the people in it. There's just something about a house. I bought a house and lived in a house, years ago, and I lived in it for a while. And honestly, I never felt like that was my home. It just never felt like home. There was something about it. It was a beautiful home, but it just didn't.
But it just doesn't have that feel.
No. And every time I think about that house, I'm still like, ugh. Yeah. And I think so bizarre.
That brings up such an important point. And one of the most important things that I think someone should be looking for when they're looking at senior living is the people in that building.
Exactly.
Talk to the residents, ask them, hey, how's the food? Ask them, look at them and see if they look happy. Are they, is the community alive and awake? Are there people out and around? But not only just the residents, but look at the staff, look at the people that work there. I mean, I know we're all wearing masks, but you can see a smile under that mask.
Eyes. Yeah. Creases of the eyes.
Do they seem happy? Because if the staff are happy, they're going to treat your loved one the way you would want your loved one treated. And I think, that's really key. And don't tour, a lot of us that are, in this industry, we're here Monday through Friday-ish, 9-ish to 5-ish. But, ask for a tour in the evening, ask for a tour on the weekends, because we're happy to do it. But it also gives you a good view of what, things look like on the off hours when it's not, when all of the directors of the community aren't on site.
Yeah.
And I think those things are just as important too.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things that I think is really important as well is looking at the Facebook page of a
Yes.
specific community. If they have a nice, robust Facebook page where they're posting the activities and the events that are occurring within that community, it can kind of give you an idea of music and food and different activities that are going on. I think that's super important. And I know that even like on our website, we kind of track the activity, and we see that a lot of our online users are looking at the Facebook pages of our own clients and the people that are have listings on our website. So we do see that is definitely an interest.
I encourage that so much for sure as well. And it's something that my resident lifestyle director here in our community is absolutely wonderful. She lives for our residents. And I don't know how she does it with as many kids as she has too, but the Facebook page is so active there. We, all of the things that have been done in the community are, there's videos and pictures up there for loved ones to see. And then some communities also have in-house programs as well, where you can go on and you can look and see, what activities your loved one has attended today. You can see pictures, you can send messages.
Yeah.
And that has become something really key for families, especially when there were things like shutdowns due to outbreaks, to be able to go on there and at least, see a picture of mom, doing an activity and to know that she is safe and healthy and okay. We've got family members who have a loved one here in the community and live in Washington State and can't be here every day, can't just pop in. So those things are so, so important. And then of course there's, residents who have large extended families that want to be involved too. And those pieces like the Facebook can really just change the way they feel like they're interacting with their loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that to even follow that Facebook page, once your family member comes in there, it's such a relief that you're like doing your everyday thing. And maybe you're like scrolling on your Facebook and you see a family member and they're enjoying an activity. It warms your little heart to see that.
Yeah.
It gives you that comfort of knowing that, oh, mom, dad, they're having a nice dinner. They're listening to music. I remember seeing my dad dancing, just scrolling through my Facebook page. And it was just, oh my gosh, I was just so excited just to see that. So I think it makes a big difference. And they like having their picture taken. It makes them feel good. It makes
feels
them feel
good.
good.
And to see those genuine smiles. And I mean, there again, even to sign up, start following those Facebook pages a couple years out. Watch how it changes so that, you're not just looking, the month before, you're considering moving a parent and look, take some time and follow it and get to know that community, because that's really the best way to make the right decision the first time. Because that's the other side of things is nothing breaks my heart more than to have someone give me a call and say, I moved my mom into a community and she's not happy. She's not thriving.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So if we can take these steps and plan early and, have an idea that hopefully we can get people in the right place in the first time around.
Yeah. And I'm sure one of the biggest things, and we'll just talk about this and then we'll kind of wrap it up, but I think this is clearly a big one for a lot of folks, is the steps on the financial end. That's something that community should be helping each family that comes in work through that process, kind of like a checklist, so that they can get it done efficiently and they help them, correct?
Absolutely. And, it very much depends on the community as far as, what the financial obligations are going to look like, and also the process. And, those of us here in the community are absolutely not as well versed as the experts on the financial side of things. But the first thing I do to families is to recommend them to a really fantastic elder law attorney to make sure they have things like power of attorney in place, any advanced directives like a living will or a DNR. But those elder law attorneys can also assist with the financial stuff. Some communities accept Medicaid as a payer for assisted living and for memory care, as well as skilled nursing. And those elder law attorneys can assist with doing things like protecting as much of the assets from having to be garnered by Medicaid, excuse me, to allow, the person to maintain, some of what they've built up over their life, whether it's, a home, personal property, those kind of things. So, as far as those of us in the industry typically have a really great elder law attorney that we recommend people to. And I mean, those people are worth their weight in gold to really help with those things. There are other things. Long-term care insurance today does not look like what it used to look like. We've got some people have really fantastic plans that'll cover, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 a month. You don't see those kind of policies in existence anymore, right? Because they're just too fantastic. But there is still long-term care insurance out there to be had, and it's definitely something people ought to start looking into. I believe there's a cutoff age where after 60, maybe it may be early 60s, it may be late 50s, where you're no longer able to get long-term care insurance. So it's definitely something, if you're expecting to eventually go into a community, to start looking at early on and planning for. There are other go ahead.
Yeah, I said just looking at different policies, if that's something that you might be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there are other options like bridge loan programs where, if someone is in one of those emergent situations where, they've had an emergency happen, they need to move into senior care of some sort, whether it's skilled nursing or assisted living, where those bridge loan programs can come in and provide a loan, like say until the house is sold, and there are those finances to use there. So there are a lot of options that those of us in communities can at least point you in the right direction of. And a lot of people, their hope is to stay in their home forever and to bring in in-home care. And that is a good option for some people. I always like to let people know, a lot of times people don't understand what the true cost of that would look like. But at least in our area, of course, the market's going to be different everywhere, but 24-hour caregivers in our area are $26 an hour, which ends up coming out to $600 a day, which is astronomical monthly. And so, in-home care can be great, but the one thing in-home care cannot replicate is the socialization that you get in a community. And so, kind of weighing those costs and benefits against those kind of options as well.
Right. Yeah. So there's definitely different options on the financial side. It's just kind of seeing, I think probably talking to an attorney would be, after you decide that you need it, talk to the community you're interested in, see what pays they accept, and then kind of going from there. But so there's a bunch of different options. If that the cash pay is not something that you kind of need to take a different route. But I definitely encourage having those living wills, all those different types of things. Those are no-brainers regardless.
Yeah. Get your elder law attorney started on all of those things, power of attorney, all of that as earlier than you think it's necessary.
I was going to say, I think those need to be done pretty early in life.
Earlier than already done.
Yes, exactly. So I think that those are super important, but I think that that's really great information for folks to know. Before we kind of wrap this up, is there anything else you wanted to add? Is there information that you think would be really beneficial?
I think my biggest takeaway, or what I hope your takeaway from this, is that senior living should be fun. Senior care should be fun.
Yes.
Everything about this process, well, not everything about this is going to be fun, but,
Right.
but the actual being in the community, it should be fun. It should take a weight off of you and off of your family. You should be able to come to me or other people in my position, and we should be able to make this process easier for you. Of course, this process is never going to be easy. It is one of the most emotional and difficult processes that you will go through in your life. There are, for so many reasons, but it can also be a really beautiful future.
Well, I do feel like once you get over the hump of getting, going through the paperwork and all, and making that decision, and actually once you get your family member into the community, there is that huge relief. There is a lot of work on the upside.
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%. But once you get them in there, you just have to do the work. And that's sometimes just the way that life is. But once you get them in there, it's so different.
Yeah. And the people like me should help make the work part of it easier too.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do think that once they're in there and they're starting to adjust, I think that senior care, assisted living, it should be a new stage of life. I know a podcast that we just did with Josh Frida's was about dementia is a new way of living versus considering it like this is the end of life, is an end of life diagnosis. It's just a new way of living. And we need to start looking at it that way, in a different way. I think assisted living, it's the same way. It's just a different way of life. It's a new way of living. And in all honesty, it should be fun. You're exactly right. This is the time where you don't have to worry about, paying the bills and, writing out the checks every month and mowing the lawn,
folding the laundry
and folding oh my gosh, I don't
cleaning the toilets.
Yes, exactly. You should be able to do crafts and chat with your friends, visit the garden, do social outings,
have happy hour on Friday,
all these different things, and then visit with your friends. These are the types of things that you should be able to enjoy in these golden years per se, and also visit with your family when they come and be able to sit and relax and enjoy that time with them. And then also, any kind of, live music that comes, just sit back and relax and enjoy that type of thing. So it really should be that. And to have communities that are able to provide that lifestyle is a really great opportunity.
It's a special thing to be a part of. And I'm grateful every day that I, stumbled into this career. And I'm excited to be in it for the long haul. Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing to get to do.
Oh, you're such a sweet pea. Well, we really appreciate having you, Megan, and the opportunities that you provide seniors and their families over at Cadence. And so thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to, hopefully get to help, guide some more people who are feeling lost in this struggle.
Absolutely. We appreciate that as well. So thank you everyone for joining us on this episode of SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please visit us anywhere you enjoy your music or podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Alexa, and many more.
At Parish Healthcare, we believe in our community. We believe in keeping our community safe. We believe in the art of healing. We believe in healing patients, healing families, healing communities. We believe in the best and brightest working together for the common good. At Parish Healthcare, our team focuses on you as an individual because every life is a work of art to us. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life. Visit parishhealthcare.com/healthaware for a free health risk assessment.